Hey everyone, this is Michael with Home Health Success Academy, and welcome to our Module 11 of our How to Start Your Home Care Business. In previous modules, we talked about how to be able to start your agency, from licensing, insurances that you need to be able to start it, whether you want to be able to bootstrap it and start up your agency at a low cost, or spend higher amount of money to be able to make a decision for your agency. So whether you want to be able to do a home-based business, open up an office at a office building, or franchise your company. So either or, we shared with you guys the do's and don'ts, as well as the pros and cons of choosing which type of agency you want to be able to open. And so we also shared with you guys how to be able to do a feasibility study and how to create your business plan, because those are detailed, important information that you need to have when making a decision, because it gives you your goals and your plans to be able to go out there and market your company. And in a previous module, we also talked about the basics of the marketing, what you should have, what are the basic items you need to be able to make sure you have in your bag of tricks to be able to market your company. Now, of course, we have our 10x Patient Referrals online.com website, 10xpatientreferrals.com. And what it is, it's our online learning platform that has over 200 hours of videos and audio items that's going to be able to give you all the information you need to be able to market your company and stand out from the rest of the organizations out there. In this module, we're going to talk about preparation activities. These are the preparation activities that you need to start and do once you actually have your license and once you're ready to actually go out there and market your company. So let's go ahead and get started, because this is probably one of the most important part of the company training that we have, because we're now going to be able to now apply it into the field. So, as a home care business owner, what you want to do is you want to be able to make sure that your agency is going to become high efficient and effective. Okay. So in addition to just the usual business startup requirements, your registration, the insurances, the licenses, there are a lot of other activities and tasks which must be undertaken, and as well as procedures that you need to follow before you start providing the services that you have. Some of the major activities, practices, as well as guidelines that should be in place prior to delivery of the services are provided in this video series. And I want you to be able to make sure you pay attention to this. You need to be able to create your service standards. So right now there aren't any national standards for non-medical home care agencies. So there's no defining rule out there for non-medical for private pay agencies, and that's completely different from the medical home health agencies that are approved by Medicare, because there are a set of standards. That's why they actually have those 5-star ratings that are at medicare.gov. So it is important to develop a set of standards that will provide that company framework so that you can deliver high quality home care services to your clients and provide great service to your referral sources. Some of the standards are needed to be able to establish what we call consistency, as well as performance expectations by your company. What they do is they allow for comparisons to be made and excellence to be judged. Standards articulate what is done, who is served, and what services and resources are needed. In addition to that, your standards will provide a work for quality measurements and improvements. How do you know you're providing great care? Well, you can actually measure this by looking at what you're doing right now for your clients. You need to be able to make sure you have your policies and procedures. Now, policy development is a key management responsibility. Policies state what must be done to achieve the standards, and procedures provide the technical description for how staff are supposed to carry out the policy. Usually procedures are drafted after the policies have been developed. All policies and procedures should be approved by management before they are put into practice. So some states don't even require that you guys have policies and procedures, but you have to create policies and procedures to be able to say, hey, team, this is what you need to do at this type of situation. If you have an admission, this is what you need to do. If you have a problem with a client's family member, this is what you need to do. So if you don't have policies and procedures, what you can do is you can purchase policies and procedures elsewhere and make sure you review them and also approve them if you don't want to create it yourself. If you need policies and procedures, that's something that we can actually provide you. We do have a set of policy and procedures out there that you guys can purchase with us, or you can go out to other companies and purchase them yourselves as well. So once you approve the policies and procedures, it is recommended that the policies and procedures be organized and kept together in a 3-ring binder. Now, what we have done is we also have our policies and procedures set up with PDF files so that our team can actually view the policies and procedures online when they need to. So we make sure that they have access to that. What we're actually doing right now is we are transferring our policy and procedures into a video format to make it a lot easier to be consumed by our staff members. And so that's something that maybe you want to be able to do. But if you want our policies and procedures that we have, we can definitely give that to you guys, and just contact us, and that's no problem at all. And we can send that to you guys in a PDF format. If you guys want us to print it out for you, we can also do that at a small amount of sum. But either or, you can either go through us or through other companies out there. But the most important thing is this, is that once you have these policies and procedures, you have to make sure you go through them as a team. If you're just yourself in the office, make sure you review them so that it actually is an approved thing that you want to be developed for your team out there. So policies and procedures are important. You have your in-service orientations that should be held for staff to inform them about the policies and procedures. Typically, you want them to be able to review the policies and procedures when you are onboarding them, when they're starting to work for your company. So let's say, for example, when you have worked previously at other companies, I'm sure that when you got hired, they made you go through the policies and procedures. Now, here's the biggest problems with most organizations, is that they say, hey, these are our policies and procedures. Yes, it's a thick binder. I want you to sign this one piece of paper right here saying that you understand and agree to all those policies and procedures. But rarely do we see employees actually watching or reading the policies and procedures. And so that's why for my companies, we are now having it online and putting it in a video format so that we can actually make sure that the team is watching the videos, so we can actually monitor them and see that they actually reviewed it. We know they're not going to be able to fully watch every single policy and procedures, but what we do is once they agree on the policy and procedures, we make it a standard where they actually have to watch the videos one by one or read certain items one by one online and return demonstrate by telling us that they understand the policies and procedures. So that's something going advanced. But when you're first starting, you can definitely just start off with the 3-ring binders or have the PDFs available on your website. Agency company policies. Okay, so your agency policies and procedures provide the structure for everything that your agency does and support the day-to-day operation of services, such as what to do when a client isn't home, emergency procedures, accepting money from a client. One of the most important activities that you will undertake is the development, implementation, and monitoring of your agency's policies and procedures manual. Your policies and procedure manual should be reviewed and revised as necessary, but as a minimum, it should be reviewed and revised annually. So, sometimes you're going to say, hey, this is the policy that we have for this particular item, for an emergency procedure, but you find out that maybe you can make it a little bit better and a lot easier to be able to understand. So then what you can do is, if you are going to change any rules in your organization, when you do that, you must put that in your policies and procedures. You must go through to your policy and procedure and adjust that and fix that right away, so that anybody that comes in later on can understand what's the new policy and procedures that was set forth. When you change that, you can't just change that in your office. You must change it and allow everybody in your team to know what happened. So this is when we change some of our policies and procedures, what we do is we do a group text, a group email to all of our staff out in the field, because a lot of them are rarely able to go back into the office to read the new policies and procedures. And we also update it in our online website. You need to be able to determine your staffing and human resources needs, right? The number of staff you need will depend on your own skill set, the amount of time you are prepared to put in, the number of people you are serving at any given time, and the amount of service you provide. The skills and knowledge of staff will depend upon the types of services you intend to provide. So one rule of thumb that I have in my organizations is that if, for example, there is something that I'm not really good at. So one of the things, for example, that I may not be good at is really looking at the accounting sections. I can assess our accounting sheets, our cost reports. I can assess a lot of those basic items. But when it comes to putting everything together, I know that that's something that I'm not good at. I used to use Excel spreadsheets to handle those services. So when I learned and found out that this is probably some of my weaknesses and I don't want to spend a lot of time in something that I'm weak on, I rather spend a lot of time on where I'm actually good at, which is the marketing, the networking part of the company, and making sure that I bring in the right people to train them on that section. So when it comes to the accounting section, I realized I had a weakness on that. And so what did I do? I made sure I hired a good accounting firm to make sure that that portion of things is handled correctly. Because anything that is not done correctly or not worked on can cause problems later on. And so these companies that I end up hiring that will show me, that will teach me some of the basics to make me better at what I'm doing, it makes me a better manager, a better owner of a company. And so one of the things that I learned was that you need to use an accounting software. So that's where I ended up started using QuickBooks, which made it easier for me. Now, there are other companies that you can use out there other than QuickBooks. It's up to you what you want to be able to use. But you need to be able to assess yourself and say, hey, this is something that I need to be able to give to somebody else to handle if you can't handle it. And that's why you need to be able to have, that the capability to know who you are and self-assess your own self. And you need to be able to say, hey, I can put this much amount of time on this, I can put this much amount of time on that. But like I said, you need to be able to understand your own skill set, okay? You need to be able to also know, how many people do I really need? Do I need an extra person in the office? Should I actually bring in a person to answer the phones? When I first started, a lot of new companies that I have, so I have several companies right now that are providing home care services and home health services, both medical and non-medical. But I also have other companies that provide support to a lot of home health agencies, just like, for example, our consulting business. We also have our other training programs that provide certifications to caregivers and training them, because we see that there's a lot of a lack of that service out there in the field. So when I first started a lot of these organizations, I was able to then bring in people that can handle the basics so that I can do the other aspect of things, which is the creation of the companies. And so you need to do the same exact thing. If you're not great at marketing, you still have to have some information and some knowledge about what is expected for marketing. You can't just hire a marketer and say, hey, go out there and market for this company, and not knowing, are they good marketers? Are you able to evaluate them? Are they able to report to you? So make sure that you need to determine who you need to bring in, especially in the office and in the field, to represent your company. In the end, it's a matter of being able to follow up and to be able to make sure that you're able to do a background check on everybody that you're hiring in your organization. Manager administrator. The manager and administrator or designee is accountable and responsible for managing all the affairs of the agency and the services it provides, which shall be delivered in a safe and efficient manner, meet the legal requirements and standards of practice, and be consistent with the agency's policies and procedures. When you're starting your company, this is a role that you're going to take, upon, which is become the manager and administrator. You might even hold a lot of different hats. Like, for example, you might be the marketer as well. You might be the intake personnel as well as you are starting to grow your company. When one of my first home health agencies, actually the first home health agency we actually had our office in a strip mall. So guess what? When we first started, we had our own private bathroom in our office space. Well, we didn't hire somebody that took care of housekeeping. We were not big yet at that time. And so guess what? Guess who actually cleaned the toilet? I did. Who vacuumed the place? I did. Who mopped the place? I did. And so, these are things that you have to understand when you start this company, when you take this journey, which is, I can tell you, is an amazing journey and is worth everything that you can do. You need to understand that as a manager, you need to be able to make sure that you manage your company appropriately. Office manager. Like I said, you can be the manager administrator, but you can also be the office manager or the coordinator. But if you do hire someone, the coordinator is the soul of the agency, and depending on the size of the agency, may assume a number of roles. The individual is the liaison between the clients, the supervisor, in-home workers, the agency, as well as the administration team. The image projected through telephone communication or person-to-person contact is crucial to the success of your business. I want to give you guys a challenge. I want you to pick 15 home care companies in your area, and I want you to give them a cold call. Just give them a call, and you know what? When they pick up, you can go ahead and say wrong number and hang up, okay? But I want you to pay attention on how they answer the phone. I've called agencies out there, and all of a sudden you have an owner's husband answering the call and don't even know how to answer it correctly. They just say hello, okay? And that is the wrong thing to do. when you're answering the phone. Your team needs to be trained on using the phones. The telephone is one of the most important skills that you need to be able to understand and perfect. You want to be able to do that. You want to be able to answer, "Good morning, my name is Michael. This is with ABC Home Care Company. How can we assist you at this moment?" And then when the person answers, how do you actually get the information from them? So your team needs to be also trained how to be asking the right questions for the person. If it's an inquiry about your services, you don't tell them, "Hey, just let you know the person who's in charge of that is not here at this moment. Can I take a number and I have them call you back?" No. If your manager, office manager, answers the phone, they should know the basic answer and questions that they need to be able to make when somebody calls for an inquiry. Whoever your secretary is, they must be able to train and learn how to be able to do that. Even if your family, if you want to bring in your family into your company, they also must be trained to do that. And if they are not, they should not be even allowed to answer the phone at all. Supervisor, as you start getting bigger, you are going to start getting more people in the office as much as possible. The supervisor will perform the initial in-home interview to determine the needs and requests of the clients. Now, that can be for larger agencies, but your supervisor should also be trained in marketing if they're going out there, because it's not about just doing the in-home interviews. It's about closing the deal. I know a lot of people that does great presentation, that does the basic interview, but they cannot close a deal and get that person to commit to use your services. The supervisor will provide supervision to home care assistants to ensure they are, competently carrying out their duties based upon the level of risk of the position and the specific needs of the clients. It ensures the specific needs of clients are effectively and efficiently met, and they also have to conduct performance appraisals and other staffing actions on home care assistants. You need to be able to develop a job description. If you don't have job descriptions set forth for your caregivers, your HCAs, your supervisors, your managers, let us know. That's part of our policy procedure handbook that we give out to a lot of our clients. We already have the set job descriptions that they need to have, and you can add more to those as well as you want. Once you have determined the staff you will require, you will need to develop a job. A job description will help you and your employees understand what is expected of the employee. It should be easily understood by those who read it, clear and current. You need to be able to gather job descriptions from other agencies and review them to see what elements are appropriate and adapt them as necessary. So if you can't find a job description and you don't want to, try to go through us to give you guys all those information, guess what? The internet is an amazing thing. There's this website called google.com. Google, right? So Google job descriptions for personal care assistants. You'll find it online, guaranteed. Recruiting home care assistants. This right here is one of the most important things for you guys, is being able to recruit the right home care assistants, being able to keep them in your organization and not lose them to other companies. There's such an amazing amount of turnover for home care assistants all over the US, which is which baffles me. Okay, so a really good recruitment and orientation process for staff ensures that competent and qualified staff are hired and that you can deliver high quality services to your clients. Choosing right people is crucial. It's crucial and critical to the success of your business. Your recruitment and selection process must meet the requirements. Equal employment opportunity laws, prohibit specific types of job discrimination, and you should know those laws as well. I've said in the previous videos, you can actually buy posters, laminated posters that have all the state requirements, all the federal requirements that you can post in your office, and actually most states require that you have this posted and visible for any employee. What is an effective recruitment? Effective recruitment, selection, training, and retention of home care assistants is essential if you are to deliver high quality service. That's why our other company that we have is Caregiver Certification Online, where we can actually provide 10 hours worth of training from audio, video, as well as a return demonstration through testing online. And once they finish the course, they get a certification from us. And what that does is allows us to be able to provide training for them, allows our home care assistants to know what are the basics that is required of them when they go out there in the field. The recruitment and selection process involves gathering information about the job and about people. You want to ensure that staff who have the appropriate skills and personal qualities are recruited. Just because a person went through a certified nursing assistant course, that doesn't mean that they're going to be great at working for your organization. It's not about certification. It's not about licenses that they have. It's about, are they a good person, and can you actually start programs where you can actually do your interview process correctly, where you can start weeding out the bad ones, and at the same time is giving an opportunity for people that wants to actually be in this business. The staff should be selected with careful thought to the tasks that they must perform and the clients they will serve. The safety and security of your clients should be upheld by careful selection, orientation, and training procedures. That's why background checks are so important. It's just the basic of items. If you have a caregiver saying that, you know what, I don't want you to do a background check, well, guess what? Then I don't want to hire you. Okay? You have to understand, you need to think about the safety. One bad seed in your organization can create an amazing ripple effect for your company. And you need to make sure that you pay attention to that. Attracting candidates to your agency. That is a $1,000,000 question for a lot of agencies because they have a lot of problems attracting the right candidates. Reaching and attracting a pool of candidates involves determining where they can be found and how they can be best attracted to work for you. You will want to have a diversity of assistants to reflect the diversity of the senior population. In order to attract the best candidates, you should market your job openings well. There are a number of ways to attract a pool of suitable candidates to fill any job openings, okay? So how do you do that? Well, one of my favorite places is social media. Another thing is using SEO in Google. I also like using a lot of the jobs apps out there, like for example, jobs.com. Definitely use indeed.com as a great place to go to as well. I've also found a lot of great caregivers through Craigslist before. I don't use Craigslist as much to post jobs. I try to stick around Facebook marketing, social media marketing, such as in Instagram, and I also go after Indeed and jobs.com as a good place for me to be able to go after. There's another website called ZipRecruiter. It's another good place to be able to go get information and get candidates to work for your company. So how do you assess your candidates? Collect as much information as you can about your candidates. This will allow you to make an informed and objective decision about which candidates are best suited for the job. This is where your interview is important. This is where you can actually do a lot of tests for them. Put them into a question and answer portion. Put them into a live question and answer portion as well, right? Where you can actually ask the questions that you want them to be able to do. Some agencies nowadays are doing what we call personality profiles. And so there's a lot of companies that can provide this service. And you can make a determination by somebody answering questions through personality profiles to see if they may be a good fit to work for your organizations. You need to be able to screen and shortlist, right? The first step is to assessing candidates involves screening and shortlisting, right? So typically when we put an advertising out there for a marketing hiring blitz for caregivers, we may start off with about 100 applicants, but then eventually we'll weed it out to about 20 later on, and then we'll rinse and repeat and do that all over again. The reason for that is we want to be able to start analyzing them and bring them down slowly. Now, you cannot discriminate somebody because of their race, because of their religion, their sexual orientation, and so many other informations out there. But that does not mean that you cannot screen them correctly by doing personality profiles, asking questions in regards to situational aspects. Like I would ask them questions like, in the past when you faced with a problem, how did you handle it? And I will try to see how they respond to those problems, and I'll make them give me an example to take it from there, because I want them to be able to problem solve if anything happens, because they're out there in the field. They don't have a supervisor with them 24/7 when they're providing care for clients. And so they need to be able to, handle certain problems that comes up right away until they can reach the proper management team in the office. So you need to be able to assess the candidates and shortlist them and go from there. And how do you do that? Through telephone, through resumes, and through an application process and an interview process as well. So once you're interviewing somebody, once you have that short list of candidates you are interested in, you can move on to the assessment phase and proceed with scheduling interviews. Interviewing potential employees is time well spent in the hiring process, since interviewing gives you an opportunity to assess the candidate's suitability for the position, the potential employee, and an opportunity to learn a little bit about the agency and you. One of my biggest questions that I ask a lot of applicants is this: why would you want to work for my company? That's one question that we always ask in the beginning. The next question we always ask is, tell me, why did you decide to become a caregiver? or tell me why you decided to apply for a job here in our organization to provide care for senior citizens. These are questions that you have to ask, because if they can't even answer that questions, why are they wanting to get that position? Right? So you need to be able to ask these questions from them and see, hey, can they actually answer these questions the way I want them to answer it? And then go from there. Another big problem with a lot of companies is that they're willing to hire everybody, but they're not willing to fire everybody. I don't mind hiring somebody once I put them through the process, but if they are not fit for the company, if we see any problems or any negativity, we never keep somebody who's a negative person in the company, because those are the people that's going to eventually cause problems for your organizations, for your patients, for your clients, for your referral sources, and it just adds an extra headache for your organization. So you want to be able to make sure you get rid of them as fast as possible. Select Homecare Assistance. Selection consists of using all the information you have collected about a candidate to make a final decision. You will have had collected a lot of information about the candidate from their job application form or their resume and their answers to your questions during the interview process. Don't be tempted to offer the job on the spot or make your decision on an impulse. Just to let you guys know, anybody that's hiring nowadays is using social media. Okay, so anybody that's hiring and anybody that's asking for a job. So you want to be able to look at people's social media. That's part of the background check that you have to have. So I'll give you an example. If I have a person that's complaining a lot about their organization and does it where they do it publicly, it makes me question that person as a potential worker for our organization, because if they're complaining about an organization live, what would that say when they start working for your organization as well? So one thing that we do as a company, we do full background checks. We do an FBI background check that handles the federal and the state background checks. We also do social media checks as well. We do personality checks, and we do live interviews. And when we do our interviews, we always bring in a second person in the interview. One thing that I love doing is I always bring in one of our top caregivers to help us with the interview of that person. And, we ask for their opinion. What do you think about this person? Do you think this person deserves a job to work with us? And we want it to be showing to people that are wanting to work for our organization that we are selective. We want the right people. We don't just want to hire anybody off the street. So what are the physical requirements? This is an important thing, right? It requires stamina, strength, and have the general physical ability to carry out physical tasks such as safely lifting a patient, moving a client, bathing a client, moving furnitures, and etc. Need to be able to use the tools, equipments, and materials required for certain job tasks. And they have to have good eyesight and hearing as well, okay? So that does not mean that if somebody has a hearing aid, all of a sudden you can't hire them. Of course you can. They're using a hearing aid, so that means their hearing is better, okay? So you need to understand that just because somebody's wearing glasses or somebody, has a hearing aid, that does not mean that they cannot do the services that you require them of doing, okay? So here are some of the personal attributes that we require a lot of people to work for organizations. Need to be honest, dependable, cooperative, conscientious, empathetic, trustworthy. Ethical is such an important thing as well. Some of our personality questions that we put are based on ethics and see what they're willing to do. They need to be courteous. They have to have patience. They must be enthusiastic of what they do and motivated and want to provide great care for their clients, especially their clients is our clients. Some other requirements for your caregivers and for people that needs to work for your company is that they must have a valid and current driver's license. They are going to be driving to clients. And so with that said, you need to understand that they need to make sure that they have, a current driver's license. They must have insurance, right? They must have a reliable vehicle or access to a reliable vehicle. Now, not all caregivers are going to be driving their patients around. We actually do not allow our caregivers to drive our patients. And the reason for that is that can cause problems, because if that's something that you're going to do, what I truly recommend for you guys is this, is that you need to make sure that you know how your caregiver drives. Put them to a driving test. I know one company out there that they actually, part of their skills training is they actually sit with the caregiver and see how they drive. They make them do parallel parking. It's like they're making the person test for a driver's license, because if they have problems when they're transporting one of your patients, you can be liable for that. And so, for my company, we actually have our own mobile van transport that is an option for our patients if they want some services such as that, and it's a very small minimal fee. But if you want to provide that service for them, allow your caregivers to drive the patient's car or drive the patient in their car, then that's your choice to be able to make that decision. Each caregiver must have a cell phone, must have data on their cell phone. The reason for that is we use apps for the caregivers to be able to input information about the patients. So we require that they have data on their phones. We do provide a payment, a monthly payment to our caregivers to kind of offset the cost of data. But nowadays, everybody that has a smartphone must have data anyways. But we will give them, $19 a month to take care of the potential data that they're using for the care for the patient. They must be TB tested. They must have immunization. They must be able to speak and write English. That's an important thing. Not unless you have a client all of a sudden who's Spanish speaking. Guess what? We can kind of work around the patient the caregiver not having to speak full English, because if they speak Spanish and the client needs a Spanish speaking caregiver, then we can work with that as well. And then they must be able to go through a background check and reference checks. Now, a lot of caregivers, will give you their reference. And the thing though is most companies out there do not do full background checks, do not really do the whole reference checks where they follow up with 3 of the previous employers of the person that's applying for a job. If required in your state, you need to verify previous employments, verify authenticity of educational certification, verify the identity, and obtain medical clearance as well. So these are additional things that you can also put and implement into your organization as other requirements for the patient. Conducting pre-employment screening is also important, okay? This is something that you need to be able to make sure that you do. So pre-employment screening should be, and sometimes is mandatory, conducted as part of the hiring process to avoid lawsuits and costly hiring mistakes. Its purpose is to ensure that a candidate's qualification and backgrounds are verified and acceptable. So it's very important that these employment screenings be conducted not only because the business owners can be held liable for the actions of their employees, but also business owners are obligated to protect the safety of the patients, the welfare of the clients. Simple character and competency reference checks are no longer all that is needed when screening. Other things also need to be verified. So one of the most important parts of pre-employment screening is the checking of references. You cannot be too careful since your staff as frontline workers are the backbone of your business. You cannot afford to hire the wrong people. A reference check will help you confirm information collected in the interview and gain further insight into the competencies such as motivation and personality style. Allow you to gain a bigger perspective on the candidate's suitability for the role, allow you to explore any gray areas that may be seen, with the particular client. Let's talk about criminal background checks. You should conduct a criminal background check on any employee. You need to be able to know that what did they do previously? What is their background? Because you don't want to send them out and have direct contact with your clients without knowing their background before you actually hire them. So if you live in a state which requires a home care license, this will be a requirement before a license is even granted. So it is important that you perform a criminal background check, whether it's mandatory or it's actually not. You may want to contact your local law enforcement office regarding the process. An alternative is to hire the services of a person or company that specializes in conducting background checks. So there's a lot of companies out there that will go ahead at a minimal fee, $50 to $60 to do a fingerprinting of your workers. You just send them to this company and then they do everything from there. Or you can go ahead and just do basic checks with that employee, whether you have direct link to your state's website or to federal websites. Orientation of your home care assistants. New employees should be given that general orientation. I cannot stress that enough. right? So before they actually start working for your organization, they need to understand what are your mission, your vision, and your values. What are the expectations of them as a worker? What is your policies and procedures? What are the job principles? What should they know about the health and safety of staff and the clients? These are things that they need to go through. Usually orientation involves both an orientation to the agency and an orientation to the specific job. We never send a caregiver out in the field by themselves unless they actually been seen or been supervised by another caregiver or one of our caregiver supervisors before they start providing their own care by themselves. We put them through that type of training because we want to be able to make sure, can they do what they say they can do? Conducting effective staff orientations. So what are you doing or what are you planning to do to orientate your staff members? Like I said in previous videos, for us WISE, we have an online learning platform that we make our caregivers go through so that they can actually learn what they need to do with a return demonstration by taking a test at the end of the training. So you need to be able to have an effective orientation process. You need to be able to provide relevant material available to them in advance of the formal sessions, prepare an outline of the agency's organization, promote a team spirit among new employees. You need to be able to share the agency's goals with them, discover their individual goals, and put them at ease and interact with them on breaks. So how do you determine wage payable? So your frontline home care assistants are the most important resource you have, and they should be paid accordingly. So good home care assistants are worth their weight in gold, and consequently you should know your appreciation by offering them a decent wage. When determining what wage to pay, you as an employer are obligated to at least meet the minimum wage in most cases. You should be aware of the minimum wage requirements in your state as rates vary from state to state. So let's talk about criteria for establishing pay rates. You may pay different rates to different employees based on a variety of influencing criteria. And those criteria are the type of services being performed. You may set different pay scale ranges for the type of services being provided. For example, you might decide to pay a different rate for companions, homemakers, and personal care assistants, or you want to pay the same rate for companions and homemakers and a higher rate for individuals providing personal care. Personal care assistants should be paid more than companions and or homemakers, and typically personal care assistants are CNA certified. Employee qualification experience. This factor comes into play particularly with the personal care arm of services. You would want to ensure that anyone providing personal care is qualified, trained, and or experienced, and preferably a CNA. The difference in wage rates would depend on experience. It is recommended that new graduates start out at a lower end of the scale with regular increments spread out over a period of time. Work difficulty. An example of where work difficulty would play a role is with cleaning services. An employee who does harder work such as washing walls, cleaning dirty ovens, washing windows, taking down light fixtures to clean, etc., should be paid more than an employee who does lighter housework activities such as dishes, vacuuming, bathroom breaks, etc. Overnight shifts. In all probability, you may be faced with overnight shifts. Determining pay scales for this period depends on a couple of factors. Is the overnight attendant providing sitter services only? Example, the attendant is there only to watch over the client but does not have any hands-on work to do other than something light such as being a steady force while the client is walking. So let's say you have your dementia patients and somebody just needs to be there to watch the client just in case that they try to leave the house. And the family just wants somebody to be there while they're sleeping as well as an assisting to them. So when you talk about negotiating wages, certain candidates, employees will tell you outright what they expect to receive in wages. Some may be willing to negotiate while others will stick to their demands. When considering if you agree to the candidate's employee request, take into consideration that person's suitability, expertise, and value to you. You may have other equally capable and reliable employees who would agree to your proposed wage scale, your profit margin, and whether the charge out rate needs to be increased. The degree of task difficulty, sometimes you may get a client with heavy and demanding needs. What we typically have is we actually have a graph that's already set that tells us this is how much our starting rate is going to be for somebody that has an experience between 1 to 3 years, somebody that has 3 to 5 years, and somebody that has that greater than 5 years. So that's going to be our starting rate for them at our facility. Our base rate is typically set up where we have additional bonuses and increases depending on overnight shifts and if they're working in the weekends. so we can actually provide those services for them and those additional costs for them. And so that's how we arrange our system. Now you yourself, you can create your own system. Some home care companies just has one rate all the way throughout, right? So that there's no confusion. And the reason for that is because if the person that they hired a HCA is a CNA, for example, providing personal care, but then all of a sudden that client goes back to the hospital, let's say, or goes somewhere else or moves somewhere to another state, and then all of a sudden when we have a new client, that person just needs companion care. But we don't want to lose that good caregiver that we already train and we put our effort in and we spend some money with their education. We want to be able to make sure we keep them on board. So you can't all of a sudden say, I'm paying you $13 an hour as a personal caregiver, and then all of a sudden, because you lost the client went out to a hospital or moved somewhere else, now we're going to put you in a companion care type of a client. All of a sudden, I'm paying you less than that. So you can't do those changes, and you need to be able to be aware about those different services that you have. So you have to kind of make sure that you put your rates somewhere in the middle to be able to offset certain things and then increase if you need to, but you can never decrease later on. Respect privacy of information. During the recruitment selection process, a lot of personal information is obtained from job applicants. This information needs to be protected and treated with the utmost confidentiality. The person who the information is about is entitled to have any information about him or her kept private, regardless of who provides the information. Protecting the privacy of information involves being candid with the individual about their personal information is collected and how it is to be used. So let me give you guys a basic suggestion. When we have our applications out there, we never ask a person's age. We never ask a person's if they are the person's nationality. We never ask that. We never ask if they're married. We never ask if they have children. We stay away from all of those items when we are predetermining a potential client. Okay, those questions will be asked later on, except for the marriage and kids. But if they're going to get hired, we need to find out if they actually what their nationality is and what their date of birth is. Those are two things that we need to have in file. And the reason for that is because we need to know, hey, if you are Spanish speaking, if you speak Polish, if you speak Russian, if you speak Korean, if you speak Chinese, if you speak Tagalog, whatever it is, we need to be able to have that on file because that can help us provide more care for other clients out there. And so those are the basic things that we kind of work around with to be able to provide the right care. But you want to be able to respect the privacy of a lot of people, and those are one things that we kind of put in place to make sure we don't ask those type of questions. Follow payroll obligations. So as an employer, you have certain responsibilities and obligations which needs to be addressed. Forms must be filled, payroll taxes must be withheld and submitted, and employees' compensation payments must be submitted. Additionally, there is specific information that you need to obtain for your records and forms that you must complete. You must verify that each new employee is legally eligible to work in the United States. You need to be able to develop client forms and records, develop the necessary client forms and service tools before delivering any home care services. This is particularly important when personal care services is provided. These particular items we can actually provide for you guys with our policy and procedure manuals purchase. You can also purchase these forms outside with other companies. That's available. Another thing also is for these type of forms, it is available also if you're using any particular CRM system, customer relation management systems that are out there, especially that are based on home care services, so that when you have these forms online in their phones, in their tablets, in their computers, it makes it a lot easier for submission. You don't have to wait for them to fill it out and then give it to you guys manually. It saves you guys a lot of time. Plus, also, you want to stay in a paperless system rather than a paper-based system, in all honesty, nowadays. So these forms that are created, that either you create or that you use through these CRM systems, will provide guidance and support to the home care assistant so that they can carry out their assignments correctly. They're able to document necessary information about each client and their needs, and they will serve as a source of information for monitoring and reporting. You need to become knowledgeable about the basic legalities. While ethics revolve around what a person should or should not do, legalities are very definite in what can and can't be done. Legalities, also known as laws, legislations, and regulations, are rules made and enforced by a governing party such as a local, state, or even federal government. The best way to minimize legal implications is to be aware of their basic concepts and to adhere to established laws. Individual behavior and actions should conform to the legislated criteria. A lot of companies do have problems with this when they don't actually pay attention and know the basics of the laws. Yes, larger companies have an HR director that actually went to school and know these systems. But if you're starting off as a new company, you yourself must be aware of the basics of the laws around you, whether it's state, local, or even federal. Hey everyone, it's Michael here at Home Health Success Academy, and I just want to say thank you for joining us on this quick video. My intentions for today is to be able to get you guys to start using our online marketing university. The intention here is to be able to have you guys make sense of why joining our online learning platform is what's going to be able to create success for your agency. Okay, and we want to be able to give you all information that you need to create success. A lot of agencies nowadays are having problems how to be able to get more referral sources, how to be able to get their current referral source to give them more patients, how to go after past referral source that you lost to another agency, how to be able to increase your revenue, right? A lot of agencies are closing down nowadays, and our intention is to be able to give you all the knowledge that we share with clients of ours that pays us thousands of dollars to be able to manage their marketing team in their agency. So we're reaching out to home health agencies. These are the skilled nursing agencies, right? That bills Medicare and insurances and Medicaid. Then we also want to reach out to the non-medical, the caregiving and homemaker agencies, and especially hospice agencies as well. And we definitely want to be able to have owners, administrators, especially marketers and liaisons for companies to be able to take this online program, an online platform that's going to give you everything, all the knowledge you need to be able to create success in marketing your company. Remember, marketing your agency, selling your services is 100% of your revenue and is in charge of pretty much paying your salary, paying your employee salary, paying your co-worker's salary. This is what we have in our online university. We're showing you how to be able to create your target market, how to be able to look out into the area that you're in, figure out who are the right targets you need to be able to hit, who are the ones you should be visiting, who should you be following up with. We're going to show you how to create a sales process. If you are a company that does not have a sales process, that does not understand a business cycle, this video is important for you, right? When you guys admit patients in your company, you guys have an admission process, right? And if somebody skips something, if somebody shortcuts something, things may fall through. Same exact thing when you're marketing your company. You can't just go out there and think things are going to happen naturally. Okay, so we're going to show you how to do the sales process, how to do your presentation properly. What are the mistakes that you're going to be facing, right? Because we all make mistakes, but guess what? We've made mistakes ourselves, right? For me, for example, I made a lot of mistakes in marketing, but I figured out how to be able to handle that so that I don't do it again. Or if it does come up, how can I actually solve it faster? How to handle objections. You guys heard it all. We don't have time to meet with you. We are already working with another agency. Oh, you know what? I don't have any patients that needs home health yet. You know for a fact that that doctor just took care of another patient that had home health services. How to be able to learn how to get into the front of the nursing homes, into the hospital's preferred provider list, the do's and don'ts of marketing. How to be able to find out different marketing strategies. What should I be giving out to people? Should I have lunch and learns? Should I not have lunch and learns? How much should I spend in a marketing target? Cold calling scripts. A lot of us don't even want to cold call. People are saying cold calling is dead. The reason why people say don't make cold calls because they themselves have quit on making cold calls because they themselves have faced so many objections. But guess what? If you are able to create an appointment, you have a 70% chance of getting that business than walking in cold by yourself live, okay? So you guys have to understand, how do I handle a cold call? That's very much important. All these different series is available individually if you want to purchase them. If you want to purchase just the follow-up techniques, which we will show you guys a follow-up technique on how to be able to increase it, right? We're going to show you guys day 1, day 2, day 3, day 4, day 5, every single thing you need to do to be able to increase that potential referral source to refer patients to you guys. You can purchase that particular series by itself, that for $199, or we're going to share with you guys our membership platform, okay? So let's go ahead and talk about that, right? So like I said, you're going to have access to each one of these courses. You're going to be able to purchase these individually, but if you join our online marketing university, which we have a membership program that we're going to share with you guys in a few, okay? So that's what we do at 10xpatientreferrals.com. This is a particular website right here, okay? When you go into that website, you're going to see 3 memberships, okay? 3 memberships. We have our platinum, our silver, and our gold membership, okay? And so right now as we speak, okay, right now as we speak, we talked about our online, our boot camp that's coming up all over, right? So guess what? By the end of 2018, we're going to remove a special thing that we're doing, okay? And so what we're doing is right here, right now. The Platinum membership. You get full access on all the courses. If you purchase them individually, it's over $7,500 in value, okay? Just to let you guys know, when you purchase a particular series, you only have access to that for a whole month, okay? So if you want access to this every month so that you can keep on going back and learning, right? You would be paying $7,500 a month by just accessing those. But guess what? For a Platinum series, it's $149 a month. You have access to all of that. Plus, you get part of our quarterly mastermind meetings. That's a $3,000 value. And you also have access to us for 1 hour a month for coaching. Okay, that's a $2,500 value. And at the same time as we talked about our boot camp that we're having, you'll get 1 free ticket to any one of the boot camps that we're having. So separately, it's about $9,500 worth of value, and you can access that for $149 a month. Now, things go down a little bit. If you just want to do our silver membership, what's going to happen is you get the full access and you get a 1 ticket to our boot camp events. But just to let you guys know, we are going to be taking out that boot camp ticket soon once 2019 hits. So if you want to sign up right now to get that free ticket, okay? So right there alone, we suggest that to you guys at $79 a month. Now, if you want something in the middle, which most of our clients are using, it's just our gold membership. You get full access to the whole courses, you get 1 ticket to live boot camp, and you get the quarterly mastermind meeting available as well. So right there alone, we have so much information that we want to be able to give to you guys, and we want you guys to be able to access that right now. So you guys should definitely join. Like I said, I want you guys to be able to join this because this is what's going to create success. A lot of you guys are saying, hey, well, $149, that's a lot of money, Michael. I totally understand that. But guess what, guys? Let me ask this question for you guys. If I can show you, and with the techniques I give you guys, and you guys just get 1 patient by learning the tips, tricks, and techniques, 1 patient in a whole year, if you are a skilled nursing home health agency, how much is 1 patient? That's about $3,000 to $4,000 that you're going to get, as you know, from Medicare, from the insurances, depending on the billing. Right there alone, it already paid for this particular item. But our goal is not to get you 1 patient. Our goal is to be able to double your referral sources, to increase it, to increase your patient census. That's what our main goal here for you guys is, to be able to learn how to be able to handle gatekeepers, how to get the appointments, how to present correctly, how to get physicians to start referring patients to you, to get these social workers to start using your agency. Once again, this is Michael with Home Health Success Academy. You have to understand, agencies are having problems getting more referrals. A lot of larger agencies are expanding, opening up their own non-medical, adding hospice to them. So this is a cutthroat industry we're in right now, and then the person that actually educates themselves and learns how to succeed is our one that's going to be able to succeed and beat the other competitions. And if you don't join this, guess what? Your competition is joining this. If you don't attend the boot camp, guess what? People around your area is going to be attending the boot camps that we're having. So like, for example, our event that's coming up in Lakeland, Florida, we actually have people coming in from Georgia, coming in from Tennessee. We have 1 person that signed up that's coming from North Carolina. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to create these events to be able to create success for you guys. So make sure you guys sign up, whether you're our online learning platform or attending our boot camp, either or, you should take this. This is amazing information that you guys should actually have your company. If you have any questions, contact us 630-340-8990. Email us info@homehealthsuccessacademy.com. But all the information is in our website, homehealthsuccessacademy.com. Our online learning platform is 10xpatientreferrals.com. If you have any questions, always know that home health is easy. Home health marketing is easy when you guys know what you're doing. This is Michael Echeverria. I look forward to seeing you guys in the boot camp, and I look forward to talking to you guys on the phone. Have a great day.